Today I'm going to be visiting the Islamic Society of Western Massachusetts in order to learn some background on Islam itself and also hear Muslim perspectives on Muslim issues faced today. I'll see you there.
In email communications with the Society, I was told that I did not need to cover my hair, but did per request of my Muslim friends regardless. This area leads into the prayer area, and the text on the plaques is Arabic. Written are Quran verses. Now we get to see where group prayer takes place. This wooden curtain masks women in prayer so that they have their own space. This is where the imam, kind of like a priest, stands to lead prayers.
Projected by your character. Islam is not the religion which delivers a lot of content. It's who you are. I mean, your faith reflects from your personality of who you are, and without you saying anything in a non-verbal communication, you can actually deliver a lot of message about your faith.
This is Nadim, who facilitated my visit to the center and whom I also interviewed.
I truly believe that we have a wonderful community here. We living in West Springfield didn't really have any trouble. There are on and off small issues here and there, and it's just because people are really not aware of the religion, and sometimes they're simply bombarded with the news channels and all that. But overall,
these are his reflections on Muslim treatment in the community and also on a statewide scale.
We don't have any problem. We don't feel like our community, our authorities around us, we are pretty good. And if we are talking about, across states, I think then there are incidents and issues similar to what happens in any community upon people responding to certain things that some people do, and it's been labeled to the entire nation that follows a religion. So every time when you hear something from outside, you feel like people are misinformed. I mean, whoever says anything about Islam, not knowing what the context of what he's talking about, then obviously that needs to be corrected, And I think for that, I believe educational sessions, open houses, inviting people, having people come in, visit your center, visit your school, meet the leadership of the community, and really, I mean, you can definitely resolve a lot of these problems that you may see in an individual's thinking about a religion that does not necessarily reflect the actions of few.
Garments like the hijab seem to be a hot topic of debate. Here's his perspective.
I believe that this is a divine scripture and I need to follow it, then it's my choice to follow it, correct? Women who don't want to follow it, they don't. You see a lot of Muslim women out there that don't necessarily wear the headscarf. Now, forcing them, beating them and doing all that, that's actually, that has nothing to do with Islam. For a man to wear what he has to wear, that's his choice, right? So God tells him, this is the modest dress for you, for example. If I don't want to follow it, that's my choice of not following it. That's between me and my God, right? I could have had a reason. So for example, in Islam, you're supposed to grow beard. For a man to grow beard, right? You don't see much of me. I don't give that right to anyone to tell me what I need to do between me and my God. I mean, isn't that freedom, right? I'm not answering you or a scholar or anybody. This is what my God give me and ask of me is on me, and he knows if I can or cannot do. Maybe I have a skin allergy. How do I have to tell you that too? You know what I'm saying? There are simple things people don't understand. So for example, you see someone who's not wearing a hijab. Does that make a person a bad person? No. But if you have a certain religious understanding, for you, you would say, she's a bad woman. But that's not true. Because you don't really know the reason she's not having it. See, one of the things we don't do is we don't pray for one another, If I'm doing something so good and I feel like I'm so good about it, if I don't see that in you, I should pray for you. Not that I should depict you or tell others, so and so is not very.
Another hot topic, the recent Charlie Hebdo incidents.
Those who I always believed in it. See, those who depict prophets. And for us, it's really whether people depict Prophet Muhammad or they're trying to depict Jesus or Moses, whoever. No one can depict them. See, the prophets cannot be depicted. You can say whatever. In the life of the prophet, people used to call him so many names. But his response was not violence. His response was that, I don't know who you're talking about.
For those of you who don't know, cartoonists for French satirical magazine Charlie Hebdo, notorious for being Islamophobic and anti-Semitic, etc., were recently killed by Islamic extremists. This is what I mean when I refer to the Charlie Hebdo incidents. Nadim is talking about the offensive cartoons as well as the incident itself.
You can't spit on the moon. It would actually land on someone's face, right? So I truly believe the people are doing out of ignorance. What was done by these individuals obviously wasn't something correct. And Islamic societies and Islamic schools and us are totally against all this. This is really, really horrible. And this has been going on for some time, whether people are being beheaded and all that. That's truly a very cruel act. And the Prophet Muhammad and the message of Islam is not about doing all this. As a matter of fact, the Prophet Muhammad was sent nothing but a mercy towards mankind.
So what can we do to combat Islamophobia?
I think one of the steps that non-Muslim can do is, if you have a neighbor, if you know someone who seems like a very nice person, a nice neighbor, who's been living with you for 5 years or 10 years, and you're hearing something outside, somewhere something is happening in the name of Islam, right? I think as a non-Muslim neighbor, what I needed to do is I needed to kind of knock at that door. And I said, I have a question about, I know you're Muslim because I see you and your wife coming out.
It's easy to point out problems, but when it comes to solutions, people seem less likely to step up to the bat. And it makes sense. It's a lot more difficult to enact solutions rather than highlighting what's already wrong. We need to remember that communication is vital to coexistence between groups. When we don't have communication and mutual understanding, stereotypes and persecution prevail.
Out and meeting people that someone could be in your classroom, your colleague, your neighbor, your teacher, your professor, whoever you think that knows that as a Muslim, you can ask them, like, what do you think of that? You may find people be debating about it, but I'm saying you can always find answers to the question, or someone could lead you to an Islamic center. So, I want to create a session where you and Imam and people of knowledge can sit down and talk about it. So, definitely educating oneself is the key to the whole predicament that we are all facing.
Speaking of education, the center is a school as well as a masjid, or mosque. Nadim is the principal.